The plan is to go to the wild in Colombia, survive out there naked.
So this is my first day out in the wild again. I've been walking for a good 2-3 hours in the midday sun. It's kind of come down to sunrise. My whole plan has completely gone. You know, with any kind of survival challenge, you are going to essentially kind of plan it out in your mind. You look at the location on Google Maps, you're going to see what you see, and you think that that's what you're going to see when you get down to the ground, but it's very unreliable in that sense. The place where I'm at doesn't seem to have many resources, which means I am, for another, you know, for want of a better word, screwed. And I am knackered after walking for 2-3 hours in the midday sun. This is kind of different to a lot of other survival stuff that you see on TV, essentially because I have to carry my own bags, and that means it's a lot more weight. It makes walking a lot harder. So as you can see, it is kind of coming down to a sunset, which means that I'm going to need shelter. I don't have time to make one. I don't have the energy to make one, so I'm just going to be sleeping just out on the ground. You know, it's not ideal. I can't afford to make a fire at the moment because my fire relies on light and it's not sunny enough to make that fire. So I'm just going to get down and just try to sleep through the night. But then tomorrow I need to make a plan of exactly what to do and where to go, because I need a place with more resources. If I'm going to stay here for long term, I'm going to definitely need a place with a lot more resources, and this place will not do. That's it for now, but you know, that's it. My whole plan has gone to shit, if I'm honest. That's survival. Yeah, what plan you want? I'm getting very dehydrated as well, as you can tell. My mouth just feels so dry. I'm not enjoying this at all. This is absolute hell because this isn't where I want to be right now, and that is putting my stress levels up to here. See those kind of cool birds? Yeah, my stress levels are very high, and I'm gonna have to lighten up my bags because I might have to cross the river tomorrow.
It's getting harder and harder to sleep now. It's getting colder and colder in the night. I'm just kind of shake myself just to stay warm. So many insects.
This is what happens when you're walking through the bush and you just get your body kind of cut up and just scratched up, because I don't have a machete. I don't have any way to chop the branches that have a sharp in front of me. Yeah, it's pretty bad, but it'll be fine. Just gotta get it cleaned up and then that's it. Okay, so I'm outside in the Colombian heat. It's probably getting close to midday. The sun's getting very hot. I know the sun rises very early over in Colombia, but it's getting very hot. I'm very dehydrated. I've been so tired and I have energy. I haven't had much time to film. You know, this isn't just like your typical survival thing where they've got a crew or they even get dropped off at the exact location where they need to be. I have to walk into my location. So far, I've been walking for almost a full day. So I came in yesterday, slept, took a sleep outside without no shelter. I was bitten quite heavily, and now I've been walking quite a lot. I haven't had any water since yesterday, and I'm very dehydrated. I need to find some water soon, I know that. So I need to do essentially. I wanted to use these leaves as a part of my kind of coverage for my genitals. As you can see, there are sharp thorns inside there, and I would not want that. I might just use these, which will make editing a lot easier, as you won't have to blur out a peanut and just put that around. I kind of give enough coverage. Now I can hear birds, which is a good sign for water. I'm pretty sure there's water around here. It's a case of me finding it to get there. And I've dumped some of my bags over where it's a bit closer to where it should be. But finding water is the most critical thing in this whole challenge. Without water, you'll be dead in 3 days. probably even shorter in the Colombian heat. And if I'm out here extremely dehydrated, there's no way for me to get out. So that would be death, essentially. As there's no way to rescue me in that sense of the word. I can just about see the water beyond the tree line. Almost there. Oh, I can see it. It is absolutely magnificent to see. I kind of knew it was going to be around here somewhere, and I'm happy to have found it finally. Oh my god, it feels, oh my god, I can almost taste it. Oh god, look at that, look at that. Oh. Oh my god, it feels so nice on my feet. Oh my god, it's cooling me down a bit. Fortunately, it's not moving too fast. And it does look a bit dirty. I know I've stepped there, which makes it look a bit more dirtier. This water's not moving too fast, and I'm out here for a certain amount of time. And if I get sick, there's no way for me to get out because I won't have the energy to. So what I'm gonna have to do is find a way to decontaminate it. Best way for that is going to be a fire. So I need to both create a fire and also need a container for me to boil it in. I don't have any containers on me, as I didn't want to bring any to make it too easy. So I'm gonna have to look for a container. But first I want to kind of like find a place to make camp, or like for kind of temporarily, whilst I go and do these kind of tasks. Alright, so I've kind of chosen a place to put all my stuff. As you can see, I've been carrying a lot of bags in because I've got a lot of camera gear. See, like a lot of batteries in there as well. It's an absolute nightmare carrying it in. One of the hardest parts about this whole task is the camera gear, because the survival stuff I can do, but carrying all the gear and having to film all the time are two things which I can do without, because it's not key to my survival, but I want to make a good video. So I've got to make a compromise. I've got to try to film as much as I can, even though it doesn't help me. It doesn't, you know, film me doesn't hydrate me. It doesn't fill up my stomach. It doesn't keep me warm at night. But I feel like I've got to do it to kind of, you know, make as good a video as possible. So it's one of those things you've got to do, and it takes a lot of energy out. You've got to do a lot of focus. You've got to make sure the microphones are working fine, and there's enough batteries in the camera. It's just quite difficult. So as you said, this is going to be kind of my temporary camp. I'll put the bag somewhere. I'll make some kind of shelter. It'll be quite simple. Hopefully it doesn't rain. I was very thankful last night because it did not rain at all. I think it rained a little bit, but not much. So whilst it was a terrible night's sleep, it was very uncomfortable. In my dreams, I was thinking, why am I, like, in my dreams, like, whatever scenario I was in, whether I was seeing friends or something like that, I'll be like, I'm in so much pain. Why is my leg in so much pain? Or like, and then I realised it's because I'm sleeping on a tough ground and it was digging into the side of my leg, and that's kind of going into my dreams. I was bitten up quite heavily. By the end of the night, they kind of stopped biting. Maybe I realised they weren't even that interested in me and that wasn't worth the time. It's just good for me. Yeah. So yeah, my main focus right now is going to be water. Then it will be shelter. Then it'll be food. Because I know shelter's going to be important for tonight. Food, I can get away with not eating any food today. But as you can see, this water, I don't want to drink it straight out of there for a main reason. Like, if I get sick, I'm stuck in this place and I can't get out. Because I won't have the energy to get out if I'm sick. And I'll be losing fluids and I have no time to get in and out. So I need to be very careful. I don't have any containers on me to boil it in. From what I've seen in this area, there's no like rocks or stones, which can be used in kind of survival by kind of heating up the rocks and putting it inside, like say a hole full of water, and that will boil the water, make it safe to drink. I cannot really see any rocks. I guess that's just the type of area we're in. Obviously when you're looking on Google Maps you can't see what is on the surface, so my plans have to change. So I'm going to look for some kind of like there's something there already. Potentially we can boil water in one of these, but as you can see, boiling water in this, whether it may work or not, it is wooden, so it will likely burn. Also down to the fact that it's very small, and that's not going to give me much water, because once you boil it, you'll only have a few tablespoons inside there. So I'm going to go and hunt for some containers. I know on the way in I've seen empty plastic bottles. They will be key. I will try to look for one now. Yeah, that's it for now. I'm going to just put a GoPro on my shoulder to get more camera angles and go from there.
He's really close now. I can hear him. I can hear the twigs being broken underneath his feet. He's now very, very close. Can you hear that? Very, very close now. I can hear the guy. He's got closer. I better put my shorts on so he doesn't run a naked guy in the woods. I'm hoping he leaves me alone. I better put my shorts on. Because if you see a naked guy in the woods, there's going to be an alarm bell. But I'm just going to stay here. I'm staying quiet and not moving. I can hear him getting closer. So whisper.
If you heard that, I thought that somebody, a person was walking towards me. I'll put it this way. If you heard that, you would have thought that I thought that somebody was kind of walking towards me. It turned out not to be a person. It turned out to be something similar to like a monitor lizard. It's quite a large lizard, about 3 foot in length. Yeah, so I kind of believed it was a human. At the same time, that's a concern, because if that was at night, yeah. At the same time, I'm happy it wasn't a person. If that was at night, I'd be a bit defenceless. I wouldn't be able to see. I haven't got any knives or machetes on me. This means I have no form of defence against something like that. That is a big concern. I don't know if you saw it on the camera that clear, but you can probably hear it. But yeah, the whole time I thought it was a human, and I was kind of lying away, hiding. Okay, so I've just found myself a bottle in this kind of small lake. So I just found myself a bottle in this small lake, and I've just set up my camera equipment so I can go pick it up. It just takes a while to kind of set up all these kind of 4 or 5 cameras. This is good news. This is good news for me having this bottle, because this means I can dangle it above a fire and boil the water, which is very important. Boiling the water is key, so I don't get sick, because there's a big danger here. So if I get sick, I can't get out. There we go. It's a bit dirty, but it's gonna have to do. Give it a good clean out and go from there. It's a bit gross. Need to get all the sediment off here even. Sediment is what bacteria will cling to. Any pathogens will be in here, so I want to clean it out. Let's give it. And then now let's just fill it up. Fill it up. There we go. Water's quite dirty. It's better than nothing. Let's just get this back to my camp. Here we are. Now I've got a container for water, as well as some water in there. Now my next plan is to make fire, so I'm gonna have to find some tinder, some kindling and so forth, so I can make the fire and get it all ready and prepared. The nights aren't too cold, so fire's not key for warmth. So the nights aren't too cold, so fire's not key for warmth, but it's keeping me not being dehydrated because I'm very, very thirsty. Luckily my camp is in the shade, which is very key, because if it weren't in the shade I'll be losing heat. I was going to make way back to my camp so I can continue in this survival piece. Luckily the camp is not too far away from the water. It's quite good. You know, if I'm too close to the water, there can be more mosquitoes. If I'm too far from the water, then I'm too far from a great source of kind of health and life, essentially. So you got to find that compromise. So I'm going to make my fire here because it's in the sun. It's nice and clear. A lot of forest fires and wildfires are created by humans. So a key thing is to make sure the area is clear and the fire won't spread. Unfortunately, we have no kind of rocks or stones to be able to put it around and make a fire circle to prevent it in. So I'm just going to keep my eye on it and make sure it's kept away from anywhere where it could kind of inflame it. So I'm going to get my kindling sorted now. So what I want to do is kind of find some kind of, there's plenty of dead wood. So stuff like this, I'm going to keep it near to where the fire's going to be, just so it's there and ready. Best type of wood is hanging deadwood. Hanging deadwood will be off the ground, which means it won't really get soaking wet when it does rain, and it will dry off very quickly because it's not on the ground, and the ground stays wet and soggy because it is essentially mud. So I've got that there. I'm going to continue looking for stuff. The main thing I do need to find is the tinder. I can probably use leaves and get away with it, but I want to look for what else I can find. As you can see, these leaves here are the biggest type of leaves around here. When making a shelter like an A-frame, for example, you want big leaves so that the rain will kind of run off it and you won't get wet. There's nothing big out here, so if it rains, I'm most likely going to get wet. I'm pretty sure it's unavoidable at this point. Unless you can get a layer of leaves like 10 meters thick, you're going to get wet. This looks like it could be. This looks like it could be absolutely ideal as tinder. I want to use this along with some leaves and see what I can do. I've never used this before, so we're going to see how successful it's going to be. Now I'm going to grab some leaves. Luckily there are dead leaves everywhere, but I did think I saw a human coming, which is why I put these shorts back on. There's plenty of kindling here as well. All these much smaller sticks. It's going to be very useful. I can lit it all over the place. I'm going to have no issues with getting a fire going, hopefully. You know, probably shouldn't say that too soon, kind of jinxing it, but we'll see. These leaves will be key because it's going to clear the area of any potential fire hazards. So picking up these leaves are probably the best ones to pick up. I've got a fair bit. I'm going to see what I can do. Just give me a second. I need to orientate myself. I'm very knackered at the moment. To make this fire, I want to be using this. It can be found around the house. It is used to read small print. So, you know, a lot of time elderly people might have it. But I'm going to use this to make fire because it's going to be able to direct the sun into tinder. I want to get as small a dot as possible. So making a fire in a survival situation is so troublesome. Especially when you're filming the whole thing, it means you've got to do two jobs at once. Making a fire back at home is a lot easier because you're well fed, you're not hungry, you've got the right equipment. But today I'm going to use this print out of a Google map I've got on me. There's some dark places on this map where I'm going to be able to focus the light, and you know, a dark colour will absorb more of the light than a light colour. So we're going to give this one a go. I'm going to sit down doing this because I'm absolutely shattered. It's already smoking. That's not enough. It's not catching the flame correctly. It is so hot. Oh, it is so hot. I don't have the patience to be dealing with this. I'm going to try again. This time I'm going to use more black material and see what happens. I'm knackered and you can't just keep on doing this. Okay, make sure this fire keeps on going. I can't risk losing it, just in case. Just add a bit more paper. It's just survival at the end of the day. You've got to use what you can. You've got to make sure you don't suffocate the flames. Got to keep it burning. Feel like I didn't prepare enough tinder for this. Well, kindling I mean. Please, I don't have any way to suspend it over. What I'm going to do is now that I've got enough of a spread on that fire, I'm going to let that die down. I'm going to use the bottle and put it on the embers so that the fire will be gone, so that the fire won't cause it to melt, but it'll be warm enough to get it to a nice boiling, kind of rolling boil temperature. Let's give it a bit of time to go out. Putting a bottle on these sticks will obviously keep it away from the hottest part, which is going to be the ash. Just laying it across, and that will just essentially give it a nice grill. I'm going to let the fire die down. I'm going to use the embers to heat up the bottle. I'm going to take this bottle, put it inside the fire, and let the extremely hot mud, it's hot, let the mud bring it to a rolling boil. As you can see, the fire is still smoking, which means it's still very hot. So you've got to be careful it doesn't melt the plastic. I was going to put the water bottle inside the mud of the fire. The mud is very hot, but it won't burn the plastic hopefully and won't melt it. Obviously with a fire will always melt plastic. So this is the only way for me to try to bring it to a kind of a boil, or kind of just to kill any pathogens in the water. It started raining here. I'm happy about that. It's going to cool down the air temperature and it's going to stop the air from dehydrating me, as I haven't got a clean drinking water situation sorted yet. Unfortunately, compared to say in survival TV shows, they scout the area and they'll figure out exactly what the participant or whoever is a survivalist, whoever's recording it, they will show them exactly what is in the kind of area in the wild that's going to help them make fire, water, shelter and food. Unfortunately, because I don't have that, there's not really much for shelter here. Have a look around. Like you can see all the trees. There are no trees with any large leaves. The ones I did see earlier, they got thorns on, which they're useless then. But there's nothing which would stop a heavy downpour. There's like nowhere I can go. There's no caves, because this is all unplanned. I never know what's down here on the ground. So I'll be honest, my nights and whenever it starts raining, there is no kind of plan that will work, because it will never keep me completely dry. And wasting my energy building a shelter which won't keep me decently dry is a waste of my energy. A lot of time when I'll be sleeping, I might be sleeping out in the open, because it's just not worth doing it. As you can see, it is now raining very heavily. There's no amount or no size of leaves that will keep me dry enough in this situation, because the leaves aren't big enough. And you never know what's on the ground when you get here, because I do my research of Google Maps. But yeah, it's just going to pour down and I'm going to have to just sustain as hard as I can. The rain has stopped, the thunder stopped. Just want to check on my water bottle. I'm very dehydrated at the moment, so we're going to see how it is. Will have gotten to a boil while it's underneath, and this means I should be able to get some drinkable water. As you can see, it's still smoking, but there we go. It still feels, it feels very warm, which is a very good sign because it's been there for a long time and it's been there through the rain, which means it was at a boiling temperature. So I'm going to drink it now. It's very warm. Bon appetit. It's warm. I wish you could kind of feel how warm it is. It's very warm, very hot still, but it's clean water, which I know I shouldn't really get any pathogens kind of get into me. Just gonna let it cool down a bit more because it is still quite warm. Over this course of today, I've been finding some nuts and seeds and fruits, but I don't know which are going to be safe to eat. So I'm going to test them out by biting them and putting some of the juices on my tongue. I want to see if it's... Like, these should be fine to eat for now. Okay, that should be fine. Hasn't numbed out my mouth, which is a plus. These don't look too good. These are kind of... Look at that. White stuff comes out, which is not a good sign. So I'm going to spit that out. Put that on the floor for now. And the final one is this one. I don't think this one's edible. Well, I'll give them a go in a bit. What I'm going to do is wait 20 minutes and then I will eat them, see how I feel. It's in the evening now. They just got this fish. We're probably about an hour away from complete sunset into darkness. It does get very dark very quickly here because we are near to the equator. So unfortunately I can't really start a fire particularly because we need the sunlight to be... Unfortunately we can't just start a fire because we need the sunlight for that, and I don't have the energy for it as well. I'm very dehydrated still, not really perfect, so I'm going to have to eat this completely raw. I'm going to try to descale it with my hand, but realistically most of the scales are going to stay on. Let's see what it tastes like. It's very tough to bite into, and there's way too many scales in there still. It's the fin. The blood in here will help keep me moisturised. Oh, it's not the nicest tasting thing, and there's guts inside there. I'm just removing the guts by hand. So I could always make a fire out of that. I was burning coals, but I just don't have the time or the energy to do that. I've got most of the meat of this now. Mostly it's all just bone and the head now. And have to... Okay, so this is my second night in the kind of Colombian jungle, or whatever you want to call it. If you listen to those sounds, you can hear the jungle really becomes alive at night. You know, those noises like those are kind of ribbits, almost like a frog, and there's kind of bird calls. I'm not too concerned about those, but it's the breaking of branches and twigs on the jungle floor which concerns me the most. After my encounter with what may or may not have been a monitor lizard, which is about 3 feet long, I'm concerned out here. Before I left I was warned by a local about there being big cats out here. That's a big concern for me. Any kind of big cat, snakes, these monitor lizards. If one comes at me in the night, I don't have a machete, I don't have a knife, I don't have any real protection from these. I have got my fire going. It's a big safety for me, kind of mentally hoping that will keep any predators away. I'm fully aware that there are some fish guts out near me where I'm sleeping at, which is a bad move on my half, but this is where my fire is, so I've got to stay here. You know, the fish guts could attract any kind of predators. There we go, the night vision's a lot clearer now. Yeah, I can now. I've got a infrared torch above my camera, so now we can see a bit more. If I was to go off night vision, this is what we'd see: fire, black, 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 fire, black, more pitch black, and then with it back on. There we go. You can kind of see, but I can't really do this all night. I will have to go to sleep, but that'll take some time. Mozzies and other bugs are out, but I don't think they're attacking me yet because the fire and the smoke, especially the smoke, will be a deterrent for mozzies to come towards you. They're not a fan of smoke apparently, so hopefully this will be fine. Now all I've got to do left is sleep and somehow get through the night. Hopefully I don't wake up too much, but I know I will. I will need to keep an eye on this fire, so hopefully I do wake up quite a bit because I don't want it to go out of control. If it goes out of control, then I'm screwed, and I don't want to cause a forest fire or a wildfire. So I'd rather it just stays as embers rather than it go on. Like, I'd rather it stay as embers than it go into being like a full-on kind of fire. It's just safer that way. I don't do any damage to the environment. Thought I heard something. Oh, it's gonna be a horrible night's sleep. This will be a nightmare. I'm looking up, and I've got no canopy above me. That means if it does start raining, I'm looking up. I can see there's no canopy above me. That means if it does start pouring down, then that means I am going to get very wet. But I'm near to the fire, so that's key for my safety and for my warmth. Yeah, I'm kind of looking up at a star up there. It kind of helps you feel a bit safer, just kind of focusing my eyes on something, so that I'm kind of like I'm looking up at that star up there. I don't know if there's one or two. I think I can see two. And it kind of comforts me having something to fixate on rather than having all the jungle noises and the fear of being out here naked kind of overcome me. Yeah, it's comforting because I guess, you know, there's stars all around the world, you know, whether you're back in England or not, you know, in a safe place there's going to be a star up above. So it kind of relates me back to home. It makes you feel safe because it's something which is common with home and kind of safety. I am sleeping with a stick beside me, just in case of an animal attack. It probably won't help, but I don't have any kind of machetes or sharp tools or knives. So this is the best which I can do. If one does come at me like a big cat, I will probably just kind of make myself big and just toss it at it. Well, you know you're scared when you're sleeping with a weapon, if you can call a stick a weapon. I feel like this fire is the only thing protecting me at the moment. It's the only thing keeping watch. Woo! 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 I don't feel safe here at all. I don't want to die out here. I want to get back home after this challenge in one piece, and I am extremely scared right now. There's too many noises, and it's just too many branches being broken. So it's not going to be a person, that's going to be an animal. Could be a lizard, could be a snake, could be a big cat, I don't know. Oh! Ah! Just heard something which is very close to me. I don't feel safe out here. Like, I don't feel safe. Oh my god, how am I gonna sleep? There's definitely something out there. I know it. I know it, there's something out there, I can hear it. So yeah, I don't feel even remotely safe. So I'm bringing out the mosquito net which I used earlier for fishing. I'm just trying to put the fire out a bit, so that I don't have to risk it going out of control. The embers were still burnt. That's the main thing. There we go, just kind of put the fire out. We've still got the embers going. Okay, so I'll put the mosquito net up. This isn't so much for the mosquitoes, it's more for my feeling of safety. You know, it's a thin layer, it's not going to protect me from any animal should they attack. It's not going to this mosquito net will not. This mosquito net isn't for mosquitoes per se, but it will help. This is for if any animals attack, if any big cats, any lizards or anything attacks in my sleep. You know, it's not going to stop them from attacking me, but it's going to give me that kind of physical barrier of safety so I can actually get to sleep, because this is a bit too kind of scary to be out without any kind of layer. You know, it's a thin layer, but any layer counts, and it makes me feel a lot nicer. That's so much better. I'm probably going to curl myself into a ball as well, in a fetal type position. I don't know why, it's making me feel a lot safer being in a fetal type position. Maybe it protects more of my, maybe the fetal position protects more of a human's body, I don't know. It's more compact, and plus my leg don't stick out from the mosquito net. So the fire's getting a bit too close to my shelter. I fell to sleep. I'm going to have to cover it with dirt again. Just going to urinate on it as well. Don't have any left. So I'll just kill the fire enough for now that it's just like embers. It will flame up again, but I just got to keep an eye on it. I'm a few days into this challenge now. I'm on the third day. As you can see, my body's taking a bit of a beating. Largely down to a lot of scratches I have on my body now. As I don't have a machete or a knife, I can't cut through the jungle or the trees or the branches. So you kind of have to use your body on the line as a way to get through them and just push your way through them. You can see I'm a bit dirty. A few cuts all over me, but for the most part, not as bad as I kind of expected. The mozzies have been a pain in the morning and at night, but with the fire, it does help keep them away. Well, to understand what I'm going through, you kind of have to walk a mile in my shoes. Unfortunately, I'm not wearing any shoes, so kind of go figure. Now, as I'm on here for a few days, I don't want to be burning all my energy up making an intensely kind of long-term survival shelter, as it's not worth the calories or the energy kind of being used to make it. It's best to keep things as simple as you can. I made my shelter up on high ground. Advantage of this means I've got a better view of the whole area, so I can kind of see what's where. I'm also a bit further away from the lake. That's quite important. Well, I'm kind of a good 100 meters away from the lake. This means that I'm close enough to get water, but I'm also far enough to stay away from the mosquitoes and anything at night which may come out. There's not really a lot of creatures out in this jungle. It is coming to the end of the dry season, which means that a lot of the creatures won't be around. I have seen a kind of a monitor-sized lizard on my second day here, but other than that I haven't seen anything. The hunger hasn't been too bad out here. The dehydration was really bad in the first few days, but I've kind of got that on a key, on a good level at the moment. One of the hardest things out here is the endurance and the time, because I've just got to make my time and then I'm done. You know I can survive out here, but it's all about making the time, make sure I've got enough energy for my 2-day trip out of the jungle, because it's going to take me 2 days to do it in. So I need to make sure I'm well hydrated and make sure I've got enough energy in my body to do that. That's my main focus. I'm not going to burn my calories kind of chasing so much food, because it's pointless. Because if I'm going to be out in a certain amount of days, it's not worth the bother, because you're going to burn more calories trying to get it than you are going to get from whatever creature you're going to eat. I found myself, it was this whole time, kind of pissing a yellow colour of urine. So that's definitely a good sign that I'm dehydrated. But the water is a bit sickly out here, so I'm kind of concerned to drink too much. But you kind of have to drink it anyway. The best way of surviving is to be like a scavenger, essentially. You know, I found a bottle, being able to use that to kind of boil water in, but it's not really a feasible attempt, because if I do that again and again, I'm going to burn so many calories doing that. I'm going to be next to the fire all the time. It's going to be heating my body up and making me sweat more. So really, I'm barely even gaining liquid for the amount of liquid I'm losing. Like the first day out here was probably one of the hardest days, because I was very much out of my comfort zone. But if you're not outside your comfort zone, you're not going to grow as a person. Because I do a lot of my research of where to go on Google Maps, you never really see what is on the ground. So there's not really been much in terms of fruit in the trees. I think I found very few pieces of fruit. It's been really bad. Just like looking a lot and keeping my eyes open and looking up all the time. This is just not an area where there's a lot of fruit. You know, TV shows have the opportunity to send out location scouts and producers to the area first in order to see what's out there, but I've kind of got to go in there blind and see what's there. So it's always a bit more tougher for me than in any kind of TV show. It's hard to make all the right choices when you're out here, especially on the first day, because you're kind of in a situation where you've never been in before. So you kind of have to accept that you don't always make perfect choices every time. You know, like essentially every injury out here is magnified massively. This is a lot of the time because, you know, you get hurt out here, then you've got no way to kind of fix it. You're not eating enough calories. So I find any kind of injury out here is magnified massively because you're not eating enough calories, not getting enough vitamins or nutrients. Your body doesn't heal itself. So simple cuts like these would be healing a bit faster than normal, but at the moment it's taking a while and it won't probably heal till I'm out of the jungle, till I'm out eating proper meals again. Time to get where you want to be is not always easy. You can't always just map it out and get there step by step. It's not really an easy process. It takes a lot of hard work and determination out here just to be where I am right now. You know, like any kind of success you're going to do is going to come in leaps and bounds. A lot of time they're just small steps. So I was able to find water, I was able to find a bottle, I was able to, you know, make a shelter, I was able to use the mosquito net. Just give me that little bit of safety out here, because I feel very unsafe at night being completely naked, as you feel like anything could come and get you. That thinnest layer is crucial. It makes you feel 10 times as safe. And I could actually get to sleep last night because of that. I do know that if I do find a fruit tree, like there's going to be dangers there, because a lot of times snakes may find themselves at the bottom of those fruit trees to get any kind of prey. Same if you find a bird in a tree, snakes might be at the bottom waiting in ambush. You know, in any survival situation, you don't want to be moving too fast. The more of a hurry you're in, you're going to find yourself burning out. You know, survival is sometimes you've got to be lazy, and sometimes you've got to be sitting around for a lot of the day. Because the more energy you burn, you know, the more calories you burn, and essentially you're going to find yourself getting in through to your fat and your muscle deposits. I feel like my body's been burning through its muscle deposits at the moment. Not too much fat has gone off my body, but you know, we'll see. The unfortunate thing is that, you know, muscle takes quite a long time to gain, but in a survival situation where you haven't got that much food, your body's always going to want to burn the fat first. The main reason for that is that essentially fat is stored energy, but muscle kind of requires energy just to maintain it. So it makes sense on like an in versus out kind of scenario that your body wants to burn the fat, because the muscle takes energy to maintain. Fat doesn't burn. Sorry, kind of worded that incorrectly. So like any kind of a survival scenario, when you're not having enough calories, your body's going to want to burn fat, because fat is just stored energy and takes no energy to maintain. Muscle has energy within it, not as much as fat, and it's harder to burn and less efficient. But the crucial difference is that muscle takes energy just to maintain itself. So you've got a choice of either burning something which takes nothing to maintain, or burn something which takes something to maintain. And if it takes something to maintain, that's a drag on your whole body. Last night in my dreams, I was kind of hallucinations or kind of dreams, just kind of melded with the real world. I thought there was someone there helping me at one point, who was kind of taking care of the fire. Obviously there's no one out there, and at one point I woke up and I was just like, can that person help me? And then I realised, oh yeah, I'm out here alone. I do find when you're alone by yourself, your mind does dream a lot more than it normally does, maybe just to kind of, I don't know, keep your mind kind of active, because you're not getting a kind of social interaction with anybody. I do find that, you know, from reading kind of about philosophers and such, kind of not doing things is going to cause more regret than doing things. So, you know, it might hurt at the moment, but at least in 20 years' time, maybe I won't feel so bad about it. There's kind of something similar which I kind of seen in Game of Thrones, one of the best shows of all time. So to do with like, can someone be brave if they are afraid? And then it was retorted in the book that being afraid is the only time a man can be brave. You know, that was like me last night, sleeping naked. I was very scared, but also the fact that I stuck it out means that I'm very brave as well. You know, fear doesn't shut you down. You know, fear doesn't shut you down. It kind of wakes you up because it kind of makes you feel alive. And though I was scared last night, I felt very alive. And I felt like I was doing something which not really many people in the world are doing, especially not at the moment. Nelson Mandela once said, courage is not the absence of fear. Nelson Mandela said, courage is not the absence of fear, but it's the triumph over it. You know, it's very hard being out here. It's very hot and very dehydrated, and also I'm extremely bored as well. There's not a lot to do. There's nobody to talk to, and that's one of the hardest parts. Not being entertained. Because once you kind of got a shelter sorted, the water sorted, and you've got fire, and you've got food as well, and you're not that hungry, then what's the point? You know, once you've got food, fire, shelter, water, and you're not that hungry, it's like, what is the point of kind of being out here? It kind of drags. I'm just going to hit my day limit, and then I'll be done, because, you know, there's not much more to achieve, I find. It's just a lot of the stuff now, it's just endurance and persistence. You know, you can't really experience new things unless you're kind of prepared to kind of go further away from home and further from safety. Because safety in your comfort zone, you're not going to find anything new there, and it's going to be very hard to find anything new. You got to go to a new place, a new country, and just see what happens. You know, I wish there was more fish out here. That would make my stay a lot better, and I wish there was like fruit in the trees, so I can get some good carbs in. What I've really had is protein and some carbs, but there's not much fruit out here, so it's a bit of a drag. But I've kind of shown I can survive out here, and that I can survive the nights, and I can survive the dehydration, I've survived the days, survived the food, get fire started. I've proved I can do it. A lot of it is down to toughness. It's not as hard as you think, surviving. You've got to be mentally tough. That's what survival is. You know, survival isn't all about being some kind of action man, climbing trees, burning yourself out. Survival is all the mental game. Can you put up with it? Because we can all do this. We can all do this, but people just don't want to do it because it feels too dangerous. It feels too scary. All this survival stuff out here is not going to come overnight to you. It's going to come in little installments, bit by bit, day by day. You're going to improve your situation to the point where you're comfortable and you can relax. Once you've got like the 4 key things sorted, you know, fire, water, shelter, and food, you're sitting pretty. Then all you got left is just kind of that drive to keep on going. I could survive out here for a long, long time if I wanted to. But the case is, I don't really want to because I've got a life back in England to live. I've got people I want to see. I want to see my girlfriend as well. The whole time out here is constant success and failure. Failure comes first, and then the success comes later with hard work and determination. I found the first day very hard because, you know, I use Google Maps to find locations to go to. So I don't know what's on the ground, and when I get to the ground, sometimes I'm very disappointed by what I see. But, you know, put some time in, put that effort in, and, you know, success is more likely to come. You know, you're not going to succeed if you don't try. It just doesn't happen. You need to at least put a bit of energy into it. You know, the hardest times and hardest tribulations and the hardest trials will often lead to the greatest successes of your life. You know, this is a 24-hour challenge, you know what I mean? Like 24-hour every day. This isn't like a 9 to 5 where you kind of, you know, start at 9 and, you know, as you can imagine, end at 5 or 6. This is just non-stop. You have to live it and you have to breathe it, you know. You can't just go home at 5 o'clock every day, kind of go back to like a normal life. You kind of have to continue through. I find myself very much looking forward to the nights out here, because the night means I can pass time a lot faster than during the day, and the sun's gone away. The nights are quite warm, to be honest, and you don't really need a fire to stay warm. I was actually too hot last night, especially my feet, which are near to the fire. It was kind of heating my body up, and it made me feel very uncomfortable. I had to kind of put the fire out slightly using kind of mud and just piling it on top of there, but you know, the fire's more powerful than the mud, and it kind of breaks through. No, well, I kind of used some mud to kind of... The fire last night was kind of even too warm, you know. The night's already warm enough as it is. But if I add too much warmth, like my feet are near to the fire, and because of that my feet got too warm and I started to get a bit hot and sweaty and it's very uncomfortable. It's like a burning sensation. So I had to get out my shelter and kind of use mud to put it onto the fire to dampen it down. But ultimately the fire's so strong, it's going to kind of burn through that mud because it's going to use the wood to burn, and it's stronger than kind of any kind of mud which you can put on it. The mud essentially does cut the amount of oxygen fire can get. So it just kind of put it down for a bit, but not forever. But I do look forward to the nights out here. The main thing is that it's not sunny, and plus I get to sleep. And if I get to sleep, I get to pass time faster. And every night I do is a night closer to me getting home, and me seeing the people I want to see, seeing my friends, seeing my housemates. So yeah, I look forward to the night because in my eyes the night comes after the day. I know you can say the day comes after the night, but it just gets me closer to home. And if I can sleep, though it takes a while to get to sleep, and it is hard to get back to sleep once you wake up, the closer I am to getting home, the better, because then I can kind of eat real food and drink real drinks and be clean and be cool, to be showered and to be comfortable and to use the internet and to watch TV and to relax in a nice bed and just all the normal things which you kind of take for granted. And just so I can talk to people. I want to talk to people. If I had people out here, it wouldn't be so hard. But because there's no one out here with me, the boredom really sets in. Like, just nobody. Like in my last challenge in Malaysia, I had James with me. This meant that I wasn't... Things did get boring at times, but it wasn't like this boring. Like, there's nothing to do at all. There's no nightclubs around here. There's no libraries. There's no Wi-Fi connections in the jungle. It's got nothing. Why do you ever want to live here? What am I doing here? Like, why would I want to be here? I've been very careful with water. I did originally boil it to drink it, but yesterday I made a decision to actually... I've been very safe with water. I wanted to kind of boil it because I'm scared of getting any kind of parasites or pathogens or bacteria inside me. So if I get hurt out here and I feel sick, I can't really get out, and there's no way for me to get out. And plus, it will dehydrate me further. It's going to kind of screw me over. But I did yesterday make the decision to start drinking out of that water. It's not the worst water in the world. It's not the best, but it's going to have to do because it's not realistically viable to keep boiling water in a plastic bottle. Because the amount of heat you lose from doing that, keeping the fire going quite strong, and just getting more dehydrated because the fire dehydrates you by sitting next to it. If you find yourself willing enough to go in one certain direction, you will eventually make your way down that direction. If you don't give up, you will make ground. That's one of my key kind of feelings, and one of my key motivating thoughts, because I know if I keep trying, I will get there eventually. You know, a lot of our weaknesses out here in the modern world is just that we give up too easy. You know, I find that as well. If it doesn't work out, you kind of give up. But being out here in a survival situation, you don't have the choice of giving up. You have to continue. You can't stop at all. Newt Gingrich once said that perseverance is the thing that comes after you're tired of doing all the hard work. On some level, I do kind of feel like I'm almost kind of giving back to the wild, because I'm here to kind of feed the mosquitoes and the ants and such, and the flies which are kind of biting me. I can see a tiny lizard, but I'm not going to be able to get it. It's too fast and it's within the trees. You can kind of see that. Like, it's not worth me trying to get. I know my limits, and you can't outspeed a lizard when it's stuck within the bushes. Oh my god, it felt so hot being out in that sun for those 2 seconds. You know, as you can tell, going downhill will lead you to water more likely than not. You know, I am generally uphill and then downhill. There's the water through there. The fire kept burning very well last night. I used a lot of dead hanging trees, which is a lot drier than any living trees or trees on the floor, because trees on the floor of the jungle will stay wet and moist longer, which is bad for a fire. You want it to be dry. This is like another attempt today to get more fish. Let's hope something comes up. As you can see, like half the body is stuck in here. Kind of mullered it a bit, grabbing it out. Dinner for tonight. Because I don't have a knife, I have to use a stick and just like stab it with a stick right behind the head, well, right behind the skull, because the skull is very tough. Right behind it is a bit more soft. I've also just found a little tiny fish as well here. It's not worth cooking this one because it's so small. So I just found a little tiny fish inside the net, which is a double win. It's a tiny one, not going to give me many calories, but it's all worth the little protein I get. It's not really worth cooking it because it's so small. Bon appetit. Today's a good day. Another little fish and another little fish. Today is a good day. Today is a good day for fishing. Got more fish here and here. I'm going to cook my fish very quickly, because as you can hear, it's been thundering, which means it's going to start pouring down in a second. I'll put it inside this pot of a container, some kind of shell of some sort, from a tree, like from a nut or some kind of a fruit. I'm going to put it inside the embryo and ashes, and that's going to cook it. Now it's just a waiting game. As of yesterday, I've been drinking water from this little lagoon. Obviously, if you go too far without drinking water, you are going to die of dehydration. It is an absolute killer. Now, having this just yesterday, the key to do this is essentially to drink from where the sunlight's been hitting it, because UV kills bacteria. Now, I'm just going to have a drink right now. So I'm just going to go out where the sun's been the most and drink. Yeah, it doesn't taste too bad. Okay, it's now cooked. I'm going to bring it out very slowly. The smoke is absolutely in my eyes. Maybe it's a bit overdone, but food's food. And like the fish I had the other day, survival isn't meant to taste great. It tastes like barbecue. It doesn't taste too bad. It's about to start thundering down, so I'm gonna have to go get my camera gear all put away. This place may be a very hard place to live in, and I'm surviving out here, but at sunset, when the temperature's gone down, look how beautiful this lagoon is. No matter how hard it is out here, this has to be one of the most beautiful locations being experienced at this moment in time, and I absolutely love it. I like to come out here in the evening just to bathe. I enjoy being in the water, it helps you cool down, and the sun's gone, so it won't dehydrate me. I like to rub the mud against it. The floor is so smooth, you can just kind of glide over it. It's absolutely majestic out here. You know, I've overcome water, shelter, fire, and food. But one thing I need to overcome now is time. I've got a few more days left, and I've overcome most of the things in nature, but time is the one thing I must overcome now. I've got to find a way to keep myself entertained. I want to say entertained, but find a way to keep myself from not getting too bored and just passing the time, because there's not really anything out here that's fun to do. It's at night and I'm away from my camp. I need to get there ASAP. I'm going to use this night vision in order to help me get through. So I'm going to flip the camera the other way around. I could just go like that. Moving very carefully. I am fully aware that the night time is the most dangerous time in the jungle because you can't see what's going on. It's the time when the snakes and all the predators will come out. I just heard something there, something in the water. Yeah, I want to go via the water because this is the route which I know very deliberately. I'm moving very, very slowly as I can't see where my feet are, and I don't know whether I'm going to slip down or there might be a creature on the floor, who knows. Oh, that was deep. That was deep. I'm in the water at the moment. I can hear. God, I'm out the water for now. I'm back in the water. Whoa! That was close. Heard something there. That's a bird of some sort. I may know this route in the light, but in the dark, even with this night vision camera, it's near enough impossible. Just don't know where I'm stepping. Can't see anything. Like, you don't get enough detail from night vision. I'm running out of battery. Whoa, something went by me. I'm running out of battery at the moment, so I need to be quick. Ah! Okay, oh, okay. Ah. I think this way's better. Ah! There we go. Okay. I think if I turn to the right. Okay, I'm starting to know where I am. Ah! If I go, I think up here, okay, I can see my shelter, well, my mosquito net. God, I just heard something there. Let's get inside. Oh yeah, and I'm inside. That was one hell of a scary walk. In the dark, naked, away from your camp. That's not a thing. I'm trying to make a fire at the moment. I can't sleep without the fire because I'm very scared out here of any predators or any snakes that could attack me in the middle of the night. This is very scary. This is should not have done this. I'm trying to make sure all the kindling has enough air and oxygen for it. I can hear branches being broken and twigs being broken on the jungle floor. The only thing that can ever break branches are creatures, so they never break by themselves. I need this fire. Now for some bigger branches. Oh, I'm covered in ants. I've got loads of ants on me at the moment. So this fire should be good enough. It makes you feel 20 times as safe away from any kind of snakes or any kind of predators out here, or any kind of monitor lizards. Because obviously a snake or any kind of animal can attack me through that mosquito net. But this fire just makes you feel a bit more safe. It's just kind of there. You know, maybe it's just more mental than it is actually physically making me safer. But yeah, this makes you feel like I can actually fall to sleep. I'm gonna go back inside my shelter. It's been raining all through the night. I'm currently inside a bin bag that I was using to keep my things dry inside my backpacks. Oh my god, it's been non-stop thunder, non-stop pouring down. There's no fire and I'm freezing cold. Without these bin bags, I would definitely have hypothermia. It is brutally cold
and I've been shaking for most of the night. These bin bags are the one thing keeping me alive at the moment. Without these bin bags, I might be dead. I don't know. I honestly think I would be dead without these bin bags. I'd have hypothermia and I would have died. These, while I'm still cold, it does trap some of the body heat and it does keep some water off me. Like, I am so wet, but I'm not as wet as I would have been. It's starting to get a bit more light outside. I'm hoping the rain will stop at some point and then I can make a plan. But until then, I can't. I think my GoPro's not got a lot of battery left. So, bye for now. This is absolute hell. Absolute hell.
On this night, the night of the third day, and this is now the fourth morning, this was terrible. It had rained all night, or a lot of my equipment got destroyed in this time. My phone that I would be using for drone footage, destroyed. My passport, destroyed when it turned green. So this was a tough night. It just poured down and I didn't put my stuff away, properly or layered enough. That's why the drone footage is taken after the trip, and some of that rain footage was also after the trip.
So I was able to fish using nothing but a mosquito net. It's quite simple. So basically the net goes all the way in like this, because normally this would be used as a hanging over a bed. So what you do is open it up like a net. You want to find yourself a stick. It's the perfect size right now. That's about how deep the water is. You want a stick which will stick above the top, just in case you lose it. A stick like this will do fine. So you find the outside. Just get tangled up in here, but you'll see what I mean. There we go. Tie it around there. Follow the line so that it's still open. As you can see, it's an open net, and get to the bottom. And there, you can have it open on one end. You stick it into the ground of the riverbed, which is quite easy normally. It's quite easy here as well. There you go. Essentially open it up, the current will push that back, that gives you a net. Every so often, the current will push it back and gives you a net like this. You may want to close the net every so often to see if there's any fish in there, or you might wait to feel the fish hit the net. A lot of the time I did it just by guessing. So I got this, close it up and then pull it out and see if I find anything. A good way I found to keep the mosquitoes off is to use ash from the fire and rub it over your body. So of course you want to get cold ash. Well, not too cold, but I mean, like, you don't want it straight from the fire. So I was going to use some more ash from the fire to rub it over my body. Unfortunately, I can't really ever get my back, so I've just got to keep it to the arms generally. The torso, generally I can't get my back, so I have to keep it to my arms. The torso is not a part of my body which generally gets bitten, so I'm not going to waste my time getting that part dirty. It's mostly just my arms and my legs. Look how beautiful a place this is. I may be surviving out here. Look how breathtaking the place this is. I might be out here to survive, but for the final night, it's nice to bathe for one last time. As you can tell by the clouds behind me, there's a good chance a storm might be coming. As it is coming to the end of the dry season, that's when the storms start. And I don't want another storm like last night. It's my penultimate day out here now. Been here for 4 days, and on the 5th day is the day I will be leaving. Very excited to be leaving to get back to creature comforts and some nice warm food. I feel like I've achieved all I wanted to out here, you know. I figured out water, shelter, fire and food. I could live out here much longer than I have, but one of the main problems out here is the boredom and the isolation. Because once I've completed all my aims, then I'm kind of done. There's not much else for me to be out here for, other than just to hit another kind of ambiguous target. But I feel happy with what I've done. 5 days, I've hit my target, I've done all the 4 things as I wanted to, I've survived out here, and I've thrived out here. I do notice my body's probably burning quite a bit of muscle at the moment. It's just due, I've noticed that my body's burning a bit of muscle. I've noticed this, not physically, but more from the fact that my energy isn't as high as it was yesterday. Yesterday I had quite a few fish and my energy levels are quite good. But by the time it came to this afternoon today, my energy levels have been completely distraught. As you can see, I spent a lot of today packing my stuff ready to go for tomorrow because I want to do that in advance. A lot of my stuff last night got waterlogged. Even in my dry bags, I had 2 phones in there which got waterlogged, do not work at all. I've also had a lot more batteries waterlogged, but the main problem is the phones, because you know, once I'm outside in the kind of the actual world, then I've got no way to contact people, so that's a big problem, and they're quite expensive as well. So despite them being called dry bags, I don't rate them too highly. Like if I was got underwater in one of those, you know, that'd be a big problem, but I was just in the jungle and it's just like pouring down, that was it, and it got soaked at the bottom. One of the biggest challenges out here has been the filming part, you know. You can do the surviving part, no problem. But when you combine it with having to lug all your gear, and having to record everything yourself, and having to do your own sound, having to mic yourself up, it all adds up, and it's, you know, it's a drag on the survival experience, because I've got to do it all myself. It all adds up, and it's a drag on the survival experience, because I've got to do it all myself. And it takes time and it's very technical, and it means it's distracting me from doing survival stuff like fishing. So I've caught less fish because I've been filming it all, and it's tiring. So a lot of the time I've not been filming because it is tiring to film. You've got to plan everything, you've got to plan your shots, you've got to lug your camera around, you've got to strap it to a tree. So I've kind of kept the filming to a basic. So I've missed out a lot, especially on the first day and the first 2 days checking into here. I didn't film much because I kind of find it that I want to get to my destination first and I can relax, because I don't know where I'm going a lot of the time. I base a lot of my research on Google Maps, so I don't know what I want to see when I get there, so I'm kind of under a lot of pressure to make sure I actually find a good destination. To help combat the mosquitoes, I've had a fire going pretty much the whole time, which the smoke is very good to get away from it, but unfortunately the fire does keep you a bit too warm, so you can't really stay next to your fire during the day. It's only really useful at night and when you're cooking. A good way to get mosquitoes in hot. A good way to get rid of mosquitoes in hard to reach places is using this. Scratch your back and you're done. This gets rid of mosquitoes. Now I'm just going to show you my gear. This bag right there got soaked. That bag also got soaked. That bag was the worst bag. Despite being labelled as a dry bag, it did not keep things dry. If you can't keep things dry, it shouldn't be given that title. I will complain. I've also got a dry bag here ready, full of water, so I can put the fire out, because I don't want to cause any forest fires when I leave. There's about 40 litres of water in there, so that'll do the job. I would say being barefoot is a lot easier this time than it was last time, because of the environment. I noticed in the first few days here, maybe the first day, there weren't any stones. That meant that I couldn't use a hot stone to boil any water. So I had to use the bottle method, which, you know, worked, but it's not efficient enough and does not give or yield enough water. So my feet are in a lot better shape than they were in my Malaysia trip, where there were a lot of stones, and so my feet are in a lot better state than the Malaysia trip, because there's a lot less stones. There are still spikes in the ground, but very small spikes of little kind of twigs and barbed thorns of like dead branches, which is manageable enough for me. The being naked part hasn't been too hard. I'm now just so used to it. It's kind of it just makes the nights colder, and it makes you feel a lot more vulnerable. Like, it makes the nights feel a lot colder, and it makes you feel a lot more vulnerable. It makes the nights feel colder, and it makes you feel a lot more vulnerable, because you don't have any kind of layer of protection, you know. Clothes are your first layer of shelter, essentially. So when you don't have that, you are literally naked. Sleeping on the ground can be quite hard when you don't have the fire going. It did go out. Sleeping on the ground, it can be a bit hard when you don't have the fire going. You know, it did go out a bit when it started to rain, but you know, the embers kept it going. once you've got the fire, it's plain sailing from there. All you got to do is not lose it. So the first few minutes of trying to get the fire is the hardest, and I'm very impatient, and I need to get fire sorted straight away. Like when I was doing it on my second day out here, it was in the middle of the heat of the sun, and I was baking, I was sweating, I was dehydrated. So I was very impatient and very kind of stressed out at that point, because I just needed it. I just wanted it there. Like mentally, I just wanted it straight away. Yeah, so when you're on the ground, it does kind of chill you out a bit, because the ground is normally colder than the... So when you're on the ground, it does chill you out a bit, because the ground's colder than the human body. And in nature, and in thermodynamics, heat always wants to average itself out. So if you're hotter than the ground's going to take some of that heat to get an average temperature. I think one of the biggest successes of this trip has got to be fishing. I managed to catch fish using a mosquito net, which is very, very impressive. I've never done that before, and I'm not a fisherman of any kind. So I'm very happy to have done that. That's something which we weren't able to do in Malaysia. Maybe down to there not being a fish in the river, but also maybe we weren't trying hard enough. So I'm happy we did that. Well, this is the penultimate day, so I'm excited to go home tomorrow and be well fed again. The thing out here is that the days are very long. As we are near to the equator, it's about 12 hours of darkness, 12 hours of light almost. Which means I generally wake up at like 5 in the morning, and it goes dark at about 5 as well. It's probably mid-afternoon now, so I don't have much time left until I've got one more sleep left, and I get to go home, relax, just enjoy the simple things in life, like just different foods, food that isn't fish, not being bitten by mosquitoes all night, sleeping in a bed, watching TV, and buying a new phone, because both of mine got destroyed. This also meant I couldn't use my drone, as my drone does rely on my iPhone as a kind of remote, so that's kind of a big downer. Definitely heard something there. But I'm really thirsty and I need some water. I'm going to brave it down here, even though it's dark as hell and can't see a thing. That feels so much better. Hydration makes you feel like a whole new person, but I need to get back to my shelter. Just literally deja vu of yesterday. So I'm going to use the infrared. Actually more useful to use the LCD screen, the camcorder, to light up the path. Where now? I'm going to keep going. Here to me. Things in the water, I can't see them. Taking every step very slowly, so I don't want to find myself in trouble. Maybe I should be stamping to make people, well, not to make people. I could have a step slowly to be careful of my step, or I could stamp in order to let any kind of creatures know where I am and to kind of move away. But I want to go slowly because I'm not that brave. Whoa, okay. Just a twig hit me. Whoa. Can you see those flashes? Whoa, okay. Don't know if you can see I'm on the camcorder. I keep seeing flashes. It's not lightning. 100% not lightning, because obviously there'll be thunder normally. Or maybe it is. Maybe it's from a distance. Yeah, I think it's lightning from the distance. Speeding this up. I've got speeding this up. You've got to go fast. Go fast. Come on. Come on. Got to speed in this. Oh! It's just this tree. I think I recognise it. Yes. Feel good about that one. Was it worth the water? Maybe, I don't know, it's not worth the fear. Hi everybody, it's my last day out here. It was quite hard getting out from bed, even if it is just a jungle bed, because I know that I'll expend less calories staying here than I would by doing this walk. So I kind of delayed it a bit and kind of lied in. You know, I've got to get the good stuff. I'm very excited, I put in all my aims. Fire, water, shelter, food. Last night's sleep was absolutely amazing. I had plenty of dreams, I was relaxed.
it felt like I was sleeping back home, to be honest.
Bye-bye camp. You served me very well, you kept me warm, we mostly dry. You gave me food, you gave me shelter, you gave me fire, you gave me water. This walk is going to be very, very hard. But it's probably faster walking across this lagoon than it is on a walk through the jungle. Oh my god, this walk is hard. Just need to make sure I'm out of this walk before the midday sun. It's probably around 6 or 7 now. The midday sun around here is really about 11 o'clock. Because the sun rises really early. And it sets early. So I've made it across the lagoon. That means I'm probably just about another 2 miles out from where I need to be. But I kind of admire the view a bit more, so I'm just sitting down just to regather my energy, because I've got a long walk ahead of me. Just have my last drink of water before I leave.